Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Motion. Today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about adjusting the variables in your workout. Now, this is based on a question I just had in the comments. A guy just asked me about the fact that he went to a push-pull legs type program. And once he did, then he noticed that he started to develop tendonitis. And is this just because there's more frequency in the push-pull legs split than the bro split, because he was coming from a bro split originally? And what I have to say about this is that, anything could be possible, right? It's really difficult for me to say exactly what a person is doing that's contributing to their issue. But one general sort of tendency that people have is that they keep the same workout even though they change the frequency, and therefore they start to overtrain or start to cause some issues, right? So say you're normally doing a certain amount of sets in a bro split for a body part. If you increase the frequency through which you train that body part, you naturally will have to adjust the volume to compensate for that. So it's not the same. Like the bro split mentality is more about just training the body or that body part into absolute exhaustion with drop sets, split sets, like doing all this kind of stuff, right? And then not touching that muscle group again for at least 5 or 6 days, right? I mean, sometimes it's a whole week before you touch that body part again. And that's a different sort of mentality than once you start to go to a 3-day type of split, which is what basically a push-pull leg split is a 3-day split. And when you do 3-day split, like say you do the chest and bis, and then you do the back, shoulders, and tris or something, then you do your legs, and then you may take a day off and then you do it again, your frequency is naturally going to be more than if you split the body into 5 days. So there's going to be certain exercises where you are training them more frequently. So say if I always do bench press on my chest day, and if I'm doing bench press every 4 or 5 days instead of doing it once every 8 days, there will be a difference in what type of recovery time I need and so forth. So the general thing you want to do is that if you start to get tendonitis when you increase frequency, the first thing you want to do is drop the volume a bit and drop the intensity a bit. So maybe the weights that you're using are too aggressive. Maybe you're in the 5 rep range or 6 rep range or whatever it is you're doing, and you're doing too heavy to failure in order for the body's soft tissue to heal. Maybe the muscles are healing, but the soft tissue is not able to catch up. So in order to accommodate that, you'd want to lower the weight, maybe increase the rep ranges, or I guess you could say, lower the volume, and then you shouldn't have a problem, right? So it's not that push-pull legs or a higher frequency training doesn't work for you. What it is that you're using most likely the wrong volume or the wrong intensity, the wrong weight. You're doing too heavy too often, and then that can cause all sorts of issues, right? So I do like the training real frequently, like I've said before, and a lot of times I'll do days where I do super lightweight, like just ease through the process, right? And it's almost like you're acclimating the body constantly. I call it the callus principle, right? If you do something every day, you get calluses on your hand. But if you do something only once a week, usually you tear your hand to pieces. Well, the nice part about the callus principle is that not all your workouts have to be so insanely intense. Some of them can be very moderate intensities or easier, and then you can work your way into really intense workouts, right? So for instance, today I did inclines with 105s on chest. But yesterday I just did some 70-pound dumbbells for flat, just easing through the process, right? Just nice and squeeze up and down, just very easy, right? Just feeling the blood going in the area. And then today I did a bit of a heavier set, or heavier 3 or 4 sets with inclines. Then I did some chins. I did some bent over lateral raises with only 20 pounders, like lightweight, just getting a good burn. And then I ended up doing some one-legged squats, just a plate aside. So I was doing one-legged squats, 1 plate per side, just going through the motions and making sure everything feels good, right? So I'll play around with these intensities all the time, and I'll stay more to a higher frequency, but I play around with the intensities, and that's why it can work. It doesn't work if you're ultimately intense all the time. If you have this obligation to always be super intense and always push into the heaviest weights and all this, what will happen is you'll end up overtraining, or you'll end up, tearing something to pieces, and that doesn't really work for you. You don't get bigger that way. And the Sasquatches in the forest would probably tell you that's how you get bigger, because they just want to be the biggest monsters in the woods. But we know what that's about, right? They just don't like the competition. Mountain. But otherwise, I went up to the forest yesterday. I'll show you a little spot that I went. I'll just show you this clip here. So I decided to go for a walk for 30 minutes up the trail here. It's the Deer Lake Trail. I've showed you guys this before. I've been here before, but it's about 30 minutes walk and about 25-minute drive from my house in 20 minutes or so. Yeah, just it's nice to kind of change things up, Go sit on a rock and pretend to be ultimately wilderness man or Sturchill or something just for a second, and then go back home and take a nap or something, So it's like, but yeah, this is nice. It's just the water's so fresh, and I find that being out in nature sometimes, or when you're walking down a forest trail, it does make you aware, because you're always aware, like maybe a cougar's out there, or a bear or something like that. So you're always like listening to every sound, so it kind of attunes you to being here and now. So it's just like training, right? But it's not. I'm not in a dangerous area, but like I said, you still pay attention anyway, just in case. But yeah, no, it's nice. Here I am, mountain. Yeah, so that was my yin to the yang of training, right? I sometimes go for a walk and go sit by a mountain stream and contemplate why the monsters continue to antagonize me. But anyway, I hope this helps you out. I hope this answers your question why you might be getting some issues by going higher frequency, but not necessarily paying attention to the volume and the intensity. And if you need to get a hold of me, just go to naturalgalantbodybuilding.com. And thanks to the Patreon supporters. And there I have a podcast, so make sure you tune into that. And take care for now. Move.